Hello, hello. You say goodbye, and I say hello. How doth thou do today? Um, I what do you Oh, do we want to do? No, we don't want to duplicate that. Sorry, I'm trying to make it so that you can see the game that we're playing. Um, I've chosen Civ 5. I haven't played it in a long time, like almost a year, and I was really bad the last time I played it. So we're gonna see where it goes, right? But yeah, um, fuck is that? Oh, that's what that is. Okay. One of the games that I've started playing recently is called Submerged, and because clearly I was in too much of a rush to write out Submerged, I've just the title of the scene is just Sub. I was like, wait, what the fuck? Why is that there? Why would that need to be there? Like, am I trying to tell myself something, or like, do I need to drown? Um. Anyway, is there? I really need one that's just like random things that I'll play like a couple times, but not consistent enough to need its own like whole thing. Hi, Falk. How you doing? Been a minute since I've seen you. How's life treating you? Uh, Oh my god, I can make a fucking group. I'm so sleepy. Good morning for you. Oh, time zones, my guy. Fair enough, though. God, I'm sleeping. I've been up for the almost 12 hours. Well, up, awake. It's similar enough. It's 2 p.m. for me. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I do that too much to take the mick out of you for it. Where are the sources that I'm looking? Game capture. Ew. Properties for capture specific window. We'll put it to not dream. I'm trying to learn Dream Suite in C major. It's not going very well. Is that the right way? Sorry, I haven't had to set up anything in fucking long. Is this okay? They're all in browser sources. Add existing. That one, I believe. Why has that made my thing wider? My window. Um, add existing chat. There you go. Um, make that invisible. We're getting there. We're getting there slowly. It'll. I should set these up beforehand. Oh, have it? Is that all? Is that all it is? Really? Okay. Now we set up everything else. You thought it was gonna be fast today. Fuck no. But yeah, and fun fact, I really like uh Dream Suite in C major, but I don't listen to it enough for it to be ingrained in my head. And I also can't speak French, which isn't generally a problem for guitar. But it is today. It is. Because I don't know what like the font apparently, and like it's not like I can just go up to somebody and be like, teach me how to say these words, because like 3 people in my family learned some French for school. They're not gonna know just these whole ass not paragraphs. These, to be fair, not many words. Like, I've done Spanish more recently than any of them have ever had to use French, considering two of them are middle aged. And it's like, I don't remember Spanish, and that was only a couple years ago. It hasn't been that long. So, hola, ¿cómo estás? And then it just goes to Irish. What lat ishka? On bhfuil cead agam dog an lehras? On bhfuil cead gut dog an lehras? Can you go to the toilet? Not genuine question. Don't answer. That's what on bhfuil cead gut dog an lehras. A gut is the pronoun in there. It's technically a pronoun and a verb. Don't actually know what it's called, but it's like shorthand. What, it's like egg and two, I think. Sorry, I'm just ranting as I feel like you speak Irish with an American accent. I speak Irish with a Scottish accent. I don't speak Irish with that's just how it sounded. Or at least I've been told I speak Irish with a Scottish accent. I might not. As far as I'm aware. Fair enough, you've been able to pick out an accent and you don't even speak Irish. Most people that speak Irish can't even pick out a word I'm saying. That's pretty goddamn impressive. Well, yeah. But yeah, I don't remember what Rinne Jarmid means. Anyway, the game. Oh Civ. Ooh, oh Civ. I've had those people may be biased, to be fair. Ah yes, the game. Yeah, I haven't played this game in about a year. And I was shit at it last time. I was dog shit. That one. Tell me more about the game. You've never seen Civ 5 before? Are you lying?
Just as it has always been.
No way.
Memories of the ancient world.
Let me make it so that you can. Ah! It's so loud.
A tempo not dictated by the labor of men, but accelerated
Okay.
by the rhythm of machines.
You can't.
Launching the world.
I've skipped it because I want you to. I would love to show you that cutscene, but it wouldn't let me tab out of it. No, leave me alone, Civ, please, please. I'm desperate here. It's taking up like just a chunk of my screen. Why is it doing this? Ah. Xbox Game Bar? Why is it not working? Civ 1 to 4 first? I don't think so. What? Okay, wait, I'm gonna. Okay, Civ's broken. Okay. Civilization proxy. What the fuck? Okay, we're closing Civ. We're. Oh my god. What the fuck is this? What is this? Free me. It's there. Wait. I wanna show you what's happening if possible. And now it's fucking gone. Okay, this is fine. It's fine. But yeah, or at least I hope you don't need to know Civ 1 to 4 because I don't know Civ 1 to 4. I don't think I've ever even seen anybody play anything before 5. Because, like, my brothers played 5 and 6, but I don't think I've seen anybody play anything before 4. That might just be me, though. Basically, it's a strategy game that I'm going to be bad at. Warning, warning, I'm going to be bad at this game. We'll get there soon to where you can maybe see the game. Maybe. Can you hear the game? Like, I'm gonna guess
Just
that
as
you
it's
can.
always been, when our memories of the ancient world fade into twilight, a new era dawns to fill the void, an unfamiliar path with a pulse of its own, a tempo not dictated by the labor of men, but
Fuck.
accelerated by the
It's
rhythm
not
of
showing again.
machines, launching.
We're skipping the cutscene again. Sorry. And music. I can hear someone talking. Yeah. Yeah, that's the cutscene. Sorry if you can hear my breathing on top of it. Never intend for that to happen. But it does. I don't know why it's not showing up. Capture any full screen application, I guess? Oh, don't break on me again, please. Please. Not rated by the ESRB. Did you perchance know that it wasn't rated by the fuck? But you. Okay. Thanks, I guess. I'm glad that my comedic genius is enough to keep you around. At least somebody's here for my personality, because it's not me. Okay, why didn't that work? Any workout? Like, okay, I know the quality's like poor all the time. You don't have to rub it in my face, Falk. You don't. You don't have to like. What the fuck is that? Dude. Oh, okay. We're closing everything that I don't need. Why are so many things still open? Sorry that you're just watching a blank screen. I'm sorry, I thought it was funny. It's fine. Why are they still? Oh, just the. Okay. Uh. Ugh. Where? Oh. Oh, I might have figured out the problem. The 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 thing that's capturing the game might not actually be there. It's not the game is whether I've set this up is the problem. Yeah, okay. We can fix that. Yes. Then re-add it. But yeah, this name is already in use. Okay, fuck you. Fuck you too, bro. Capture. Oh. What the? Okay. Okay. Better. I have a better idea. We're going over here. We are. Where the? What? Where? Okay, we're not going over here. We're going. What the fuck is happening? Has it? Okay, sorry. Um, wh- where is it? This is infuriating. Add a fucking. Let me just add some text. Uh, um, uh, I get to be all funny and quirky. Um, there you go. Enjoy that. While I desperately figure out how to make this work. Um, okay, okay. There's no reason that it shouldn't be working. There is no reason. There is no reason for this atrocity in the making, right? Um, window capture, maybe. I know I can't spell. It's fine. I'm panicked, Valk. I'm panicked. About to have an aneurysm. Not, by the way. I'm nowhere near stressed enough for that. I would know. Um, capture automatic. Uh, okay. Device not connected or available. What the fuck is this then? What's it for then? Oh, so you spelled program like a British person in case you weren't aware. Really? Did I? I wonder if it's almost like I'm not American. No, I had a whole conversation with this about this with my brother the other day. Um, program with one M is used for like computer science and stuff like that. And program with an M and an E is for like, oh, this is how things will be happening today. This is how they'll be this is the running order of the show, right? So technically it does make sense. Imagine not being from Freedom Land. Oh yeah. Enjoy your enjoy all the freedom you have. Like not being able to get an abortion. Enjoy like having to put fucking I don't remember the word for it. It's fine. It's fine. Enjoy all those rights you're getting right now. It's going well for you, isn't it? Yeah, land of the free and dying. How to audio application audio capture? What the fuck is it? Freedom grows on trees. Oh yeah. Are you suffocating on the freedom or the oil fumes? I don't know if oil has fumes. Why why is this not working? Display capture. Fuck it. There we go. Here we go, baby. Oh! Oh no, that won't work. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, look at yourself. Look at you. So pretty. Oh, you can't see it yet. Oh, that's quite nice. So this is what we're resolving to. Um, this is what we've come to, right? So also I'm gonna boom the game. Why is it? Is it still fucking small? This is ridiculous. Um, this is. I am enraged. Hell yeah. I was infuriated. Yeah, this is the game! It only took 20 minutes to get here. Only 20, guys. Oh yeah, full screen. Low, low, minimum, low, low, off, low, low. Yep, that sounds about right to me. Your game? Yeah, I am. Oh, that was far too much effort. Spoken language. No, I want to change the language. You can't change the. Okay. Guess I'll go fuck myself then. Evil map inertia? I don't want inertia. Well. But. Uh. But yeah, it's. What the?
Blessings of heaven be upon you, beloved.
We're Persia again?
You lead a strong and wise people.
I also don't know why it's
The world, the great Persian leader
so small.
revolted against the mighty Median
It's not so small.
By
Okay.
550 BC, the Medes were no more. Through cunning diplomacy and military prowess, great Cyrus
Diplomacy and military prowess? I am neither of those things. I am not diplomatic or militaristic. I am very much sitting alone in my room having a breakdown. That's the type. People look at me? No. 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 I refuse that. Will I answer Okay, we've run into our first problem here. Answer the call. I don't know about you, but I have severe social anxiety and cannot pick up a phone for the life of me. So I'm thinking, sorry guys, this is the end. No, it's fine. No, genuinely, there are very few scenarios in which I can pick up the phone. Which one of these is Settler? Ooh. Ooh, there's chocolate. I love myself a good bit of chocolate. Fan City. Current location. I feel like guys, 6, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 12, 13, 16, 21 fruit here. Or, ooh, 11, 12, 13. That is less. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 12, 13. I am so thick. 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. Settle here. And move our way up. Banana. Okay, I've never seen this game before. Tell me what's happening. We're setting up Persia currently. We I haven't played this game in ages, and I only played it like a couple times. So I don't know much about the game. I'm just going at it like any other strategy game. I'm assuming the more food I have near me, the better. Ooh, maybe I should go here because that has money. Well, okay. We'll fuck ourselves. It's fine. I didn't want to go there anyway. It's okay. I know that the luxuries are good for trading later on and making your people happy. So the more luxuries you have, the better. Ah, yes. Oh, this is like just oh yeah, fucking sit there, chill there. Persepolius, fun name. I'm gonna go. It's ooh, there are cows. I'm really not the person to come to if you want like an explanation for something. um, most of what I know about this game is from watching my brother play it from the corner of the room. I'll go with animals. I'm gonna go with animals. Got Steam for this game in 2011. Fair. Um, I don't know. I just don't play it much. I'm shit at strategy games, so I tend to avoid them. But they're also oh no, not 18 turns. No. Well, maybe Persepolius. Citizen management. Default focus. What's the default focus, huh? What? 3 4 4 4 1 1 5 4 3 1. That doesn't feel like a fair trade. It it does make it 4 turns faster though. 15 turns till a new citizen. But I feel like we sure. It's fine. Yeah, you have some money. I don't actually know how this game ends either. I know it's really long because I've seen my brother play it for like 18 hours at a time. Those were the scary days. Go over to the cows. Go on. Oh. Was truly. I don't. Fuck if I know. You do things in game and things happen, and we're meeting, and I think that's a small. I think this means that it's like these are empires. We're the Persian Empire. There are multiple other empires. It's based in I don't know. It said, BC, based in. So all the dead people, they're coming back, right? They're coming back, and they're being like, "Hi, you now get to control an empire, I guess." And sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes it's not. I've been Persia 2 times in a row now. I only remember it because I remember screaming Persia multiple times the last time I did this. That was my running joke. My running joke was just screaming Persia at the top of my lungs. My comedy, it hasn't come far. It really has not. I will tell you that right fucking now. Panama. I remember Panama. Don't know what it did. Why are you whispering in my ear? I'm a child. Get away from me. Remove your face from my ear. That's disturbing. City state. Yeah, these are the. So the city states are always AI, but the other empires can be other people if you have the friends for it. I don't. You progress through a whole ass tech tree from pottery and agriculture to atomic bombs. Fuck yeah! I I love pottery and atomic bombs. Um, uh, if you wish to communicate with a civilization or city state again, you may click. You may. You may. May I go to the toilet, miss? One of my teachers is so petty like that. Just like, I don't know if you can go to the toilet. May go to the toilet. She's an English teacher, obviously. Uh, not. She's not bad as an English teacher. She's just very sassy. Um, banner is a shortcut to talk. Okay. But yeah, this is Panama. Um, yeah, they'll all city states are always AI if you have the friends. Other empires don't have to be AI. But yeah, because I don't have that many friends, or at least not many friends that want to play Civ 5 with me or have Steam, right? So we're playing by our lonesome. I'm playing with you guys, right? You guys are my friends currently. Opposite of a parasocial relationship. You guys, I don't fucking know. I would go insane if I had to play this by myself. I wouldn't be playing this if I were playing this by myself. I'm playing this here now because I think it's What? Zulu. That sounds far too long to be I am Shaka, ruler of the Zulu kingdom. Why have you come? That sounded like a whole, like, half a paragraph. It really did. What's due tomorrow? No assignment for. No. No. Leave me alone. Leave me be. Sorry, my maths teacher's putting up assignments, and I'm like, no. I don't want to look at it. No, wait, whose eye socket? What animal's eye sockets are that fucking close together? Or is that a nose? No, it can't be a nose. Those are eyes. Sorry, you're chillin'. I don't give a shit about you. Why are the eye holes so close? Was it like a cyclops? Is that what a mammoth skull looked like? It's an elephant? That's an elephant skull? Fucking hell. Oh yeah, there. Oh yeah. Okay, I guess. Or why have you come? I haven't come, actually. Where the fuck are you? Right? Genuinely? Genuinely? Where did I encounter you? Like, there's Panama, right? But there are no other people anywhere. Oh, that No. Wait, wait, where the. What? Germans. God. God. No. This is. Guys, this is before the 19, what, 60s? Guys, we're fucked. That was grand. Probably. It's not the 1900s. This should be fine. They are awfully close, though. Why are you approaching my house? I'm very protective of my house. Why are you approaching my home? I don't appreciate it. That's all I'm saying. Use research. Um, pottery, sure. We'll do some nice potting. There is so much wine nearby. I feel like we should just plop somebody right fucking there. Just two wines, almost some horse, almost some horse, some wheat. Probably shouldn't be thinking of expanding right here, right now. Uh, go over here. Then just continue on down. Oh, no, you can go over there. Some, what are you, 11 turns? That's a long time. 4 citizens and 4 turns. Sorry, I can't read. No, we had to hand in English essays today. It was on poetry. It was on Sylvia Plath. Um, and I one of the paragraphs we got to peer review on Wednesday last week, and I brought mine in and I swapped it with somebody, and they just halfway through, they just looked at me, and this is somebody I talked to, and they just looked at me and they were like, "Yeah, you can tell that you that you're on AO3." I'm just there, like, I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not, right? I don't know if it's a compliment or not, but they didn't complain about anything, which one concerned me, and two, I'm guessing that means it's a good thing, right? But then, me being the terrified of failure ass I am, I asked the teacher to briefly go over it, being like, yeah, they didn't like say that I'd fucked anything up. That would terrify me. Oh, it made me shit myself. I was shaking throughout this entire class and the half an hour afterwards. And ooh. So like, I asked my teacher to look over it because maybe this person is just a little incompetent. Because they probably aren't, but from what I've seen, it's not off the table. Right? So I asked the teacher and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'll find something to complain about, don't you worry." She doesn't complain about anything either. She actively says that I have quite a good grasp on the English language. At this point, I'm confounded. I don't know what confounded means. I just feel like it's the right word. My only other instinct is to say befuddled. That's not a word. So, at this point, I'm shitting myself harder than I've ever shat myself before. Because what the fuck? Because this is like this is one of the higher level English teachers. Why is she not complaining about anything? Why? What what the fuck has just happened? And now I'm no, she said that she could, but that would just be her being mean, and I'm just there like, I would rather you be mean to me now than me hand in my fucking essay and then you point out 18 different things in this paragraph that you've already read over. Like, please. I think the thing that she was gonna complain about was the fact that I'd written in pencil. Germany announces fucking something. Ethiopia? Hi. Peace and prosperity. Lord of Lords and King of Kings, but you may call me. I don't want to try. I will fuck it. Ethiopia. Thank you for your troubles. I appreciate your something or other. I'm sure. 17 turns or 11. But yeah, and now all of the teachers are like gonna be consistently out. Also, okay, I have computer science as a class. We've been doing a group project for the better part of the last month. 2 months, actually. And that's fine. I don't like group work, but I'll do it if I have to. You know? If if push comes to shove, I'll do group work. And I'm sitting there and I'm doing, let's be honest, the majority of the stuff required. And then it comes to actually like running the program. We were doing an alarm clock, and I wasn't in on the day we ran it. These motherfuckers, these absolute buffoons decided we're gonna code our own thing. I'm like, I could have just brought the laptop home with me tomorrow and ran it then, but okay. So, and then, and fucking then, the teacher was out the next day, and that's fine, but we also got fucking nothing done because none of them want to talk to me. Because they all have their own friends. I'm not one of them. I'm like, okay, I'll like email them over the week. It's all okay. And we have to do a write up on it. And I'm sitting here. I don't have the code. I don't I don't I have the results, but it's 6,000 results. 6 fucking thousand. Because they ran it for an hour. An hour. No, like 100 minutes. So like an hour 20, an hour and a half, maybe. This is at this point, it's fucking ridiculous, right? Adopt policy, okay. Rapid expansion, and like, that's okay. I can deal with sorting through the things. In fact, I did deal with sorting through the things. I got rid of, I think, about 5,000 of the results because it was taking things every like second, every little more than a second, right? We don't need that. The majority of it was just zeros. It's like this is the time, this is the thing, that thing was zero. So, every 10 seconds was fucking fine. And then, so they've added, one of them has added me and the other people in it to a group on like their Google Drive. And it had the results in it, so I put the shortened down results into there. I'm like, okay. And I put the flowchart that we had to do in there because we had to do a flowchart as well. And at this point, I'm like, nobody's put anything to do with a write up in there. So I sit to myself and I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna have to do this. so I'd I give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm like, okay, I'll I'll do most of the write up, and then I'll put it to them. I'll I'll put it though to them to finish it because I don't have all the necessary material, like the code, any pictures of it running, what it actually did, because different code. And so I emailed them at like midday Sunday, and I'm like, okay, you don't have to respond to it on Sunday. Fair enough. None of them have touched the write up. They have access to it. They're full able to do it. None of the. I don't know when this is due because our teacher hasn't put a due date on it. Sorry, don't mind me having a breakdown. Build a farm. But yeah, and I'm just. I'm sitting here actively. Oh, sorry, you can see that. Forgot about that. Actively, I tell you, shitting myself. Not actually, but I'm losing my goddamn mind. It might be due for tomorrow. I don't have the stuff to finish this fucking write up. Uh, Sorry. And I needed to get it out there. I needed to. It was a necessity. And now I know that these people are fucking useless. Like, I, I did at least 3/4 of this group project by myself. One of them came up with the vague idea. So it's going great. It's going fantastically. I'm not losing my goddamn mind. Not at all. Not at all. A promise. A promise. A promise. Yep. Anyway, I'm almost through the giant bar of chocolate. I've also set myself on fire one too. Not literally. Conduct a ranged attack? Okay, what if I... That's true. Oh, now they're gonna be like, argh. Because that's what they sound like. They sound like, argh. I hope my mindless ramblings announces to the world that it is now protecting Panama. Don't care. Could not give less of a shit, my guy. Ah. Yes. Do another ranged attack. I would appreciate that quite a bit. Fashion warrior. Hey. We've won. Oh, we haven't won yet. I'm a liar and a fraud. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to come to this. I have to write an Irish essay on the school system at some point within the next couple of weeks, and I am ready to tear out the education system's spleen and hand it to my teacher on a platter. Because she also thinks it's kind of fucked up. With the whole teaching languages to pass tests instead of teaching languages to teach the language, seeing as she is an Irish teacher and is actually fluent in the language, which is startling for an Irish teacher. This is the second one I've come across in my entire school career. None of the rest are fluent. It's actually quite sad and concerning. Monument granary. Increases the culture. Bananas and deer allows food to be shrine. Well, we'll do a granary. So, who are you, by the way? First requires trapping. Oh, you're Ethiopia. Okay. Okay. Oh, why are you... You're willing to give me a single gold a turn. I would like 2 gold a turn. But the offer is not in my favor. The offer was never in your favor. The offer, you're giving me money to be my friend. That's quite sad. The Bible, Psalms 90:12. Okay, that's a little dramatic. Is it actually? Probably not. Do I really care? Not really. Oh, I would like you to go make another farm. Research, hell yeah. Mining. We'll do some mining, shout. Sorry, didn't mean to knee you there. Um, I, this morning, I wake up. It's Monday morning. I've woken up a little late. I'm in a bit of a rush, right? I cannot find my locker keys anywhere. I say okay. It's fine. I'll find them before I go. It can't be too hard. I get dressed. I get ready. I I get a bit distracted. I will not lie. I will not lie. I got a bit distracted. Got a bit distracted. But it's okay. I only forgot my maths book at home. But then it's almost time to leave. It's past the time we normally leave, but not past the time we need to leave, right? So I'm sitting there. I'm not actually sitting there. I'm standing there, frantically searching my desk, desperately trying to find out where these keys have gone. Because I need these keys to get into my locker to get the books that I need to, do school. And I'm just not finding them anywhere. They're just not. They're seemingly disappeared into thin air. Where have these keys gone? Why have the keys disappeared from me? Where have they gone? Why can't I find them? Then it hits me. I probably put them on top of my laptop last night, right? Because that's where my glasses were. But they're no longer there. Where did they go? They went. They fell from on top of my laptop, behind my laptop, and the little thing it's on, the little stand thing. I was ready to break something when I found it because it's infuriating. Have I not talked to you yet? No, you haven't. Well, you have in the past, but not today. 11 turns, 14 turns, 9 turns. Mm-hmm. Hello. How's your day going, Cicada? You not need orders? Do you not? You do! You lying bastard. Oh, wait. What? I would rather not. Could we perhaps avoid doing that? Maybe. Adopt a policy? Sure. Republic. Citizenship. Tile improvement construction rate increases by 25%. The worker appears near the capital. 1 production in every city and 5% production in cities when constructing building. Sure. Why not? Why not? I don't want any part of that. I don't want any part of that, actually. Not in the slightest, might I say. Just, it's not something I want part of, right? It's just not. Okay, most people at this point would probably be talking like strategy. Like, oh, what am I gonna do in this game? What am I gonna do here? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm walking around. I'm feeling the lay of the land. I'm letting the land talk to me. Who do I want to get killed by first? You know? All that fun shit. All that real fun shit. Like, ooh, apparently I'm getting this tile next. Hey.
But not its mineral rights.
Okay. Make mines to increase. I still haven't. Okay, like this time last week, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be starting a new book soon. I'm really excited. I have not touched that fucking book, and now we're starting crawdads in fucking where the crawdads sing in English, and I'm like, do I really want to be reading a third book at the same time? Do I really want to be reading a third book? And like in my head, it's like no, but it looks really good. the the books still count as in progress if I haven't read them in like months. If I've like looked at them from across the room and made eyes at them, being like, "I'm gonna get to you soon," and then just never pick them up, does that count as like, "Ooh, I started you. I'm gonna finish you at some point," and then you just didn't? Because I've done that with like all the books on my bookshelf. Like I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Oh, slowly. But I am, I promise. I promise. I wouldn't lie to you. Not something I'm capable of. Ethiopia, why are you all the way up there? Oh! When do you make a declaration of friendship? Sure. I don't care, I'll be your bestie. I'll be your bestie, bro. We can be friends. It's okay to say that you. Oh my god, I found Zurich. I don't really care for Zurich, but you know. What the fuck is that? Ancient ruins? Fun. Um. No, Ethiopia! No! Ethiopia's ruined my day. How dare you? How dare you, Ethiopia? The audacity of you to have seen those ruins before me and then like taken them or some shit. Like, god fucking damn, Ethiopia. Oh! Oh, there was a game that I saw a while ago that I was like, that's my type of game. Oh! Oh, wait, no, okay. Watch the people, um, work the land while I. Dorf. Dorf. It is that one. That looks. I'm just saying, that looks like my type of game. 10 out of 10 on Steam? It's $14. That's. That's a little steep. I don't have that kind of money. That's a little. Apparently, my brother started, like, gauging how expensive things are by being like, would I spend this much on a video game? No, I think it was like, would I rather buy this thing for this much money or buy a AAA a AAA game for this much money? I think that's genuinely his decision making meter now. Like, would I pay this much for a video game that was pretty fucking good? Would I? Um, huh. You're trespassing in Zurich. Panama believes we can mutually prosper. Panama. Huh? How do I? How do I? Mm, I'll give you. Oh fuck. We won't give you any money, Panama. Sorry, Panama. Didn't mean to get your hopes up like that. Shit. It's fine. It's fine. Could not care. could not give less of a shit. Choose production.
Ooh, we could make the stone hen. We could make the stone hen. Or the Temple of Artemis.
We're not going to though. We'll make an archer. The right thing. A unit needs orders, you say? Oh wait, are you Ethiopia? Click here to talk to the. No, you're Zulu. How the fuck did you encounter? It's fine. It don't want to question it. Why are we all on this one tiny fucking continent? Get to stay after school with somebody tomorrow because um the their parent will be unable to collect them until like 5, which is fair enough. I get to stay behind and make sure they don't die on their lonesome, which they might just. They are the type of people to do that. Just saying. No offense, but they are. Besieged?
Like military units can defend against attackers.
Okay. Thank. Have I been besieged? Ah, you bastard. Piece of shit. You absolute shithead. Ooh, I found another. And Ethiopia isn't here to take it from me. Ethiopia can't take it from under my fingers. My grimy, grimy little fingers. Um, yeah, yes. This is. Mm, oh. Oh no. Yeah, that checked out. I'm yawning so fucking much. This is ridiculous. Yeah, Parcel Motel's shutting down, which is really weird. Like, genuinely odd. Um, uh, sure. Citizens of Almaty have become uneasy at the presence of a nearby barbarian camp. They're down there somewhere, that's what I'm telling you for sure. Well-to-do citizens of Almaty have heard rumors that there are incredible natural wonders in the world which remain undiscovered. They hope that someone can investigate this claim. Yeah, well, sucks to be you. Who? Okay, I have been getting on Instagram my account, my account that I've had for like 5 years now is a private account, right? There are no pictures of me up on it, and like my name isn't associated with it. There, it's basically a blank slate of a privated meme account, right? Like for some reason, the people that are mass texting everybody being like, "Oh, do you want to be a fucking like a brand thing for our brand?" Apparently they're like, yes, this this random meme account. This is a good choice. Yes. Fantasy. Sure, I'll be your friend too. You've already technically paid me to be your friend. I'm not gonna lie, King. I am not going to lie to you. You've basically already given me money to do that. Oh, I need to plug in my laptop. Laptop. Ah, shit. This is fine. This is all going perfectly a-okay. Okay, and now we're stuck in the fucking nearby. The fuck you on about, you bastard? Nearby. That's like halfway across the fucking continent, mate. God, pretentious bastards.
He who destroys a good book kills reason itself.
Okay. Hmm. Um. Just to I don't know. I'm in a very, very, um, I'm in a very wibbly mood. Very wibbly today. I don't know why. I just am. Oh. Didn't figure out why, but I figured out a possible for the why. Um, fun fact. I've been using a lot of matches, and I just have this little. I couldn't help but notice that you become friends with Germany. I've done the same. Perhaps this makeshift alliance will lead to. Okay, good to know. Ethiopia and Germany have been on such good terms. I couldn't help but become friends with Ethiopia. I've done the same. Perhaps this makeshift alliance will lead to great things. Feels like he'd be really pretentious. I don't know. It's the fact that he's got the hands behind the back and the like okay posture. That's it. That's it. Really. That's it. It's like, why do you need your hands there to support your spine? What are they doing? What are you holding in there? A gun? Just whips out a gun in 2360 BC. Just whips out a fucking gun. Ah, yes. Historical accuracy. If I do say so myself. Just a fucking. Fucking hell. That would be pretty fucking funny. Not going to lie. Ethiopia and Germany have made a public declaration of friendship, forging a strong bond between the two empires. Between the three I had good Bismarck impression. I am so glad that you enjoy my Bismarck impression. It's I've been working on it for a couple years now, you know. It's taken so much effort and energy to perfect it. To really make sure it's spot on, you know? Nothing else. I feel like this would be a lot funnier if you could see what I was doing with my hand. I've put so much time and effort into this, and really, really, I have to thank those who supported me through the journey. Could you May not melee attack. Okay, could not care less. Oh, wake up, I'm hard. I was uh I was talking about this in English because on we had to like assume what was going to happen in crawdads. And in the blurb it mentioned that everything changed when two boys from town found the house or something. I'm like, okay, that sounds no, somebody else had mentioned that that sounded like it was going to end up in a love triangle. I would like to say this. I have not seen a love triangle actually be a love triangle. All of, like, okay, wow, there are two people interested in one person, right? For it to be a triangle, one of those two people that are both interested in the in the third person has to like the other person that is also part of the triangle. That's all I'm saying. They're love angles, not love triangles. Get it right. It's more, yeah. It's a love necklace, I guess. It's a love fence.
Received 20 faith. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I received 20 faith.
Love triangles for Neanderthals. Fair. Zurich target in nearby encampment. Okay. Okay, good. Minor victory. I don't want a minor victory. Sure, we'll find a pantheon. Ancestor worship. Dance of the Aurora. Ooh. Well, okay, we have a lot of forest and field. Forest and field. 10% faster growth rate if adjacent to a friendly city. Blah 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 blah. Pastures are these? These aren't pastures. These are grasslands. Those are fake. Okay. Um. 15% faster border growth. Ooh. Are you a jungle tile? You are. Oh, we're right near. We're beside a jungle. I think I like that better though. Thus making it exactly like they. Every love triangle has to be at least a little gay. And like technically, for a love triangle to be like, I think in my head for a love triangle to be like a proper love triangle, either everybody has to like both other people participating in said triangle, or no two people can like each other romantically. Right? It has to be like that. That's more of a circle. That's more of the like reuse, recycle thing. Yeah, they are very much. It's God. Just love triangles are just sad. Just sad because it's like that both the two that end up together they're kind of just shoving the third person away, and that's really sad. If it's like, oh, they were friends beforehand, right? But you've just abandoned one of your longest running friends. What the fuck is wrong with you? You have a problem. Rom-coma is a good word. This is why polyamory is the solution. note note to self: if ever in a love triangle, resort to polyamory. I mean, fair. Yeah, no. Understandable. Being like, hey, either like, hey, so, if you're okay with it, I would like to be romantic with the both of you, or be like, hey, so I can clearly see you making googly eyes at the other person, and I can clearly see the other person making googly eyes back, right? So if you really want to, go for it. It's just a great solution. And then, they probably won't cheat on you for the other person. You know? It's just problem solving. Yep. Go over here. Settler. Oh, we'll do the Great Library. Sure, that seems like a good idea. You make a pasture. Yeah, it's like it solves problems. It solves problems. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. We'll go for there. I didn't actually read that, but I didn't want the other one, so. Signed yours truly with Persian workers. Why are you over here, King? You can't do anything. Oh, you can. Walk over there. But yeah, it's like
Near Hector anywhere, with a spear 11 cubits long,
I don't think I've seen a single love triangle in like a published book.
into the shaft of the
Get
spear
it
by a ring of gold.
as like an actual love triangle. Because like the automatic one people go to is like, oh, Twilight. No, no, that wasn't a love triangle. That was Bella thinking this one dude that was physically fit was a replacement for the very unhealthy relationship she already had with a, I think, multiple 100-year-old fella that was still in school. I think you can set the worker to auto improve. You can move mode, do nothing, sleep. How do you do that? Search farm. No, come. Fuck you. Have to click the. Okay, we'll do that next turn. We'll do it next turn. Yeah, it's like that. Like, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Edward would have constituted a pedophile. Or at least grooming. Right? At least. At least. Because, okay, not only was he much older than her, or like at least a couple decades, if not a century, or and a bit. I don't remember how old Edward was. She was also going through the whole, oh my god, it's a vampire thing. Like, who wouldn't be a little bit like. There's like. It's why you can't, like, even when you're in college, why you can't, like, go out with a teacher or a coach, right? There's that power dynamic that isn't healthy. I have too many friends that get into unhealthy relationships. This is why I know these things. I've also watched one too many YouTube videos. Yeah, it's like that wasn't a healthy relationship in the first place, and then he left, and then she didn't get over it. Like, okay, I get it sometimes, but there comes a point where it gets Like, he's basically just broken up with you. Bella was stupid, that's what I'm saying. I don't like Bella as a character. Fun fact, did you know like 9/11 didn't happen? Twilight wouldn't have existed. Or I think it was Twilight anyway. My Chemical Romance was created purely due to like the effect that 9/11 had had on the people in the band, I think. Maybe not all of them, but at least one of them. But yeah, it's just like, damn, that that sure did something. Did I? Do I really still not click the next turn button? That's kind of embarrassing. Um, this one, build improvements. Yeah, yeah. Unit needs orders. Alert. Just continue meandering. Just go on a Womble King. Twilight, my 9/11. What wild jumps for? Is that? I'm like, okay. So, I can look at My Chemical Romance was. Give me a second. Was I can uh okay. My Chemical Romance was formed on the 12th of September 2001, and like they as a band have long said that it was formed like, or at least like pushed to form by 9/11. Right? And then give me a second. I can find the whole thing about Twilight to do with it. Um No, it wasn't Twilight, it was 50 Shades. I'm lost. Twilight, don't worry, so am I. Okay. Okay, I've found the whole thing. The person who wrote the Twilight books was like, was heavily inspired by the music that My Chemical Romance made, which was formed primarily because 9/11 was a thing that happened, and then 50 Shades is basically Twilight fan fiction. You can look it up. Not sure you want to. Don't ask why I know this. I don't know why I know this. But it's a thing. And it happened. So I'm just saying, we can. Not gonna finish that. But yeah, like, it's a pipe. It's not a pipeline. Sorry. Terrorism to vampire fanfic. There are some days where I'm really happy it's only like 3 of you that are ever here. I would not survive in the slightest. That would not go down well. Oh my god, it's 2040 BC. Oh, that's true. Are you chopping down that fucking thing? Oh my gosh. Are we not able to make mines yet? We'll almost make. Should we be making a second? Fuck off. Oh, they haven't. They didn't upload a new YouTube video. They haven't uploaded a new YouTube video in months. Oh wait, it's probably YouTube Shorts. God. Where do we want to put our next people? feel like we should put them down here somewhere. Like here-ish, maybe? That's actually quite a good spot. I might put them there. We had to reseal our bathtub recently. Most progressive people? Okay, fuck off. We had to reseal our bathtub recently because it started leaking, like, onto the dribble. Um, our kitchen is below, where our shower is, right? And our gerbil is on a table in the kitchen because, had
Wisdom and virtue are like the two wheels of a car.
he, like, I don't know. We used to have two gerbils, and we never got rid of the cage for the gerbils, and and it only has one gerbil in it currently because they got in a fight and the other one died. But and we just never got another gerbil because we are pretty sure that the current gerbil that still exists, probably not for much longer, would not have gotten along with another gerbil, either because it's just not social or because we somehow we don't know how to introduce gerbils. It's one or the other. I think it could be both actually, but alas, drama and poetry. I ain't- Oh, yeah. And yeah, so the gerbil that we currently have is living on the table in the kitchen, which is directly below the shower. Like the kitchen as a whole is below the room that the shower's in, but also below other rooms, unsurprisingly. But the gerbil is like directly below the shower, right? And so we found out, through finding splashes on the table, that the shower was leaking and splashing onto the gerbil. Not the gerbil, it was splashing like beside the gerbil cage. But that's a little close for comfort, you know? Where'd the other fuckers go? We had two workers. Where the fuck did they go now? Did they fucking die? Did they up and die? What is this? An unmet player has entered the classical era? Fucking hell. Okay, King. Oh, we should go over there. Next turn. Religion founded. Oh, we've got a pantheon. We've not got a religion yet, though. We've not got a religion. Yeah, one of my family members says do. Like, very, very soon. Does not. Like, within a couple days. And does not have it finished yet. Didn't have the first draft finished until, like, within the last week. So, yep. Jupiter. What does Jupiter mean? Gold. I don't know. Okay, I've been thinking, right? You know that thing that some people have where they have like text to things and it's like behind a paywall. Like I get that. What I don't get is how these people can concentrate in the slightest with text to speech playing in their ear at all times. Maybe not even at all times. I feel like it would be worse playing only some of the time because then you don't get used to it, right? If it's every like half an hour, I feel like it would jump scare you a little bit. You'd be like, "Oh shit." But if it's like constantly talking and going, you can probably like kind of tune in and out of it. But if it, I don't understand. I d- this was basically me being like, I wouldn't be able to handle text to speech. I wouldn't be able to handle text to speech. It's not a thing that I would be able to handle. It's just not. There are a lot of things that I wouldn't be able to handle. Text to speech is just one of them. it's one of the many, I say, that I would be unable to handle.
Mathematics? Oh my gosh, do we want to go on to mathematics?
Or next turn.
Anima.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like a lot because some of them really have these really dull tones as well, like da 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 da, and it's just jabbering on the entire time, and it doesn't stop. I'm like, how are you handling? How are you coping? How are you still talking with that going on? Maybe that's why people talk less. Maybe they just sorry. I'm going between very like very awake and not awake at all. That's why I'm talking like kind of fast and then also not, right?
Golden Age is dawned. Oh, a golden age, you say? Oh, I don't mind if I do now, do I? Oh, I don't mind in the slightest. Oh, I couldn't mind if I tried.
I don't know what that was. I don't. I never will know what that was. Do not ask me what. I'm considering getting a shotgun mic if I can find a cheap one. I don't know. It just feels like it might be a fun idea. It just feels like it. Just like, fun idea, maybe. I don't know. I saw somebody say that I have a lot of Jesus in my. Oh, and I have people that do stuff in the house. Yeah, maybe not. No. I'm one of those people that will bring up a problem or like a thing that I have that I don't know how to solve, and then I'll just like talk myself through it while somebody else is there. I'll be like, so I have this problem, and then in 5 minutes have figured out the problem without the other person have ever say a single word. It is a fault, I will not lie, but it's not a bad fault. A bad one. I'm also sorry. I'm also considering actually putting together that PDF of like Irish stuff at some point soon. Like if I ever get the like motivation for it, I might just go for it. Just like sit down at 3 a.m. one day when I've got fuck all else to be doing. Just just throw myself at it, you know? That's what gets most of my shit done. I might have to do like, homework. Panama seeks a new natural wonder. Fuck your new natural wonder. Your natural wonder can choke and die. That would be pretty impressive because it would be, Cocoa connected with Zurich. Where is Zurich? Is Zurich a city state? Oh. Because, like, there's like Venice and Andorra and that one other one in like what, south of Spain, I think. Is it in south of Spain? I'm just gonna look out. It's -1 degree. All city states. Birmingham. No, I didn't. I didn't want all cities. Birmingham is not. There we go. Vatican, Monaco, Singapore. I thought. Oh. Oh. Oh no. Um. Rome and Sparta are. Oh no. What are city states? What are rise of nation states worldwide? Only a few modern sovereign city states exist. Carthage. Yeah. in Vatican, Andorra. How small? I don't know. Is the Vatican a city-state? I don't. Fuck it. No, I don't want to know. I do not wish. No. Anyway, each city will increase the culture cost of policies by 33% less than. Also starts a golden age. I already have a golden age. And 5 unhappiness from honor. Sure. Okay. I'm thinking we go like here or something. About or like maybe not there because I'm going to be sharing a border and I don't really want to share a border. I don't really want to share a border. Ooh, maybe here. Almaty or Zurich. Almaty or I feel like we have to put one beside the coast, you know? So maybe like there. There. There might be, but then it's once again like beside it, and I don't really want that. Maybe there. That's not a lot of food though. It'll be grand. It'll be grand, you know. Grand. It would be completely fine. It would be. I don't see anything ever.
Libraries are the shrine where all the relics
Hell
of the
yeah.
ancient cities
Could not care less though. It's a free tech on Hon Baguette. What? Okay. The horseback riding allows workers to construct camps. Maths. Fuck maths. I don't like maths. Ooh, build a catapult though. A catapult. Wait, which ones take longest? These three? Drama and poetry. Sure.
Well,
Classical era. Okay, could not care less. I'll figure it out. I probably could. I don't fucking. I could care less, but do I really want to care less? That sounds pretty sad. Um, walls. Maintenance. Oh, put up. Sorry, didn't mean to bump you again. Always forget where the microphone is. This. It just looked like process. Next turn.
I want to vote. I want to vote.
I also want the right to vote. I'm considering. I've said this about 7 times. I'm considering getting my driver's license at some point soon. I feel like it would. I feel like. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm not sure if driving would be good for me. I'm a very naturally anxious person. I'm not sure how well driving would go down. Why are you so low on battery? I've used you literally not at all. It's fine. Where's trapping? Hey, fuck you too, mate. Girl. Next turn. Next turn. What the fuck else are we gonna do? Where? Oh, there. Okay. Hamburg! Oh, you cunt. Oh, you piece of shit, you. Yeah, no. I feel like somewhere around here. Yeah. Because that would give me the access to the most, like, new resources right down here. And got spice incense right there. Or maybe sheep. Do we want stone or do we have stone? Yeah, so I just say down here. I say next built thing we build a settler. Next turn. Because we're not doing much, let's face it. We're just kinda chilling.
Three things are to be looked to in a building: that it stand on the right spot, that it be securely founded, that it be successfully executed.
That is a lot more than three things. That, ooh. We don't really need to scout anymore, do we? You can just be alert, I guess. Research time. Um, do trapping. I want you to do trapping. I feel like it'll go down well. It might not go down well, but I feel like it will. Miles out of my depth. Ain't shut your eyes. Uh, ain't shut your eyes. Held again, tried my best. 50, you say? Okay. Return to map. Return to sender. Um. God, I don't.
Es wäre in eurem Interesse, dass ihr dieses Angebot sorgfältig prüft.
Unacceptable? Okay, fuck you then. I won't take your money then. I guess not. I guess I just fucking won't. Who are you? Don't know. Don't know who that was. Sorry. I might be a tad distracted. Check that something is working properly. Oh yes, I must make sure that something is working quite alright. Next turn. Ooh, okay.
Even brute
Um,
beasts and wandering
um,
birds do not fall into the same traps or nets twice.
okay. I sure, sure they don't. Ooh, both a production and a thing. I said a settler, and oh, we don't have iron. It's fine. We'll have iron soon. It's grand. Oh, Toshigama. Every now and then, when I'm feeling particularly shit about myself, I will just like start holding a conversation with myself in Irish, and it's it'll make me feel really good about myself for about 2 minutes until I remember that I can't talk about this shit with with an examiner. Like, how's the weather? Oh, the weather's great. You know, my dog fell asleep. You know, it's like it's just me stringing together the most random ass sentences that's possible, just so that I can like prove to myself that I can still technically speak the language. I've also decided that I can technically hold a conversation in 3 languages, but I'm fluent in like none of them, including English, by the way. Including English. Because like the amount of times where I've like tried to say something and ran through like English, Irish, and Spanish in the same sentence when I'm like really fucking dead tired. It's weird. It's an odd amount, you know? It's a few too many to be like, oh yeah, that was a fluke. No, my brain doesn't like sticking to one language. I'm not trilingual because fuck that. That's a lot to live up to. Also, yeah, not fluent in like really any of them. I'm not sure if it's like not fluent for English, but it's just like God, my memory's too poor. It's just not good enough. Decrease the friend. I wanted to be friends with Zurich to dazzle them. They believe if terracotta army is built, it will lead to great enlightenment. Okay, shut the fuck up. Shove the terracotta army up your bum. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Your golden age ends. Okay, I'll be sad. It's fine. Immortal. Wait, this is
Stonehenge, a writer's guild, you say?
Sure, we'll make the Writers Guild. Um, it's for what could this be? I don't want it more. Angels and red, elegant, tried my best. All my fears, my friends, they are mine, are mine. This goes with the background music of the game, I promise. Angels and cigarettes, held again. I don't know enough of this song. Once Panama City bullied!
The leaders of Almaty have been keeping an eye on the prosperity of other city-states and want you to help keep their rivals in check. If you demand any type of tribute from Panama City, they will reward you.
Amity wants Panama bullied. That is.
Amity requests your assistance against invading barbarians. Each barbarian you kill will earn you influence over the city-state.
Sure, we'll demand something from Panama. Pledge to ask for tribute. I can't demand anything from Panama. Ask for tribute. Fuck. Okay. No.
Guess fucking not. That's not happening. That's not happening the slightest.
Yeah, we're not really doing much for the next couple turns until this fella gets down here. Next turn, baby. Great at this. We're fantastic at this game. Shadow, shadow one. Unit out moves. Could you? No, you can't. Okay. Again.
Your declaration has run its course and will need to be renewed.
Listen here, you bastard. Listen here, you bit. Yeah, just Asargade? Okay. Hmm. Again. A granary, first of all. Always make a granary first. I feel like we should be working on, like, boats at some point. Boats. I feel like boats should be. Oh, you're gonna start making a thingy. Hell yeah. Good for you, King. Again. My fears, my fret. Do we need? You are gonna build the thingy, right? Probably. Who am I to say otherwise? Who am I to say otherwise? It was the first year's parent teacher meetings today. We got off 15 minutes earlier because of them. And you know what? This might be the one time I'm thankful for the first years. Also, just kind of everybody, just in general, has decided that the first and second years, not even the first years particularly, just the second years, they're too cocky, right? It's like because there was no school when they were first years, they've gotten to like they're a lot less up in arms than they were at the start of the year. It was basically like having like 2 years of first years because they just there wasn't a proper like no it's not it's like the second and third years, right? Because like everybody else has gotten bullied by older years, but my year just bullies itself. We don't we don't we don't bully the other years. We bully ourselves. And other some people are just assholes. Shrine, sure.
Next turn. I wish for the next turn to come to us now.
Where did our other workers go, huh? Huh, King? Huh? Huh? What are you doing? You be startled. Oh my god, there's copper over there. Maths don't care. Okay. We finished maths. You're finishing these
Very quickly.
very quickly. Alright, circus. Doing what? Sure. Currency. My god. Sailing. We're doing sailing. Yeah, Golden Age. Golden Age motherfuckers. I tried. I was like really really happy after Hexit started working, right? So I will not lie, I got a little cocky, right? I got a tad cocky. I was like, I wonder what else my laptop can handle. And so my mind instantly went to possibly the worst thing it could have. My mind went RL Craft. So I went on to Technic Launcher, which fantastic thing by the way, and I I downloaded RL Craft, and I opened it and I waited as it loaded. And I was like, this is going way better than like I didn't expect to even be able to download the game. So this was going particularly fucking well, actually. Right? And that's like startling. So this is going well. And then we get into the menu. It loads. And then I decide to go into the options. I go into the options, I turn things down, and I change the anti-aliasing. Because I'm like, okay, this is a smart thing to change. And then I try to exit out of the settings, and it freezes. And it crashes. And then I decide, you know what, this isn't enough of a sign. I must reopen this game. So I do that. I get into the menu, it crashes. So, safe to say, unsurprisingly, my laptop cannot run RLCraft. It can run like Hexlet and whatever that blight thing is. I don't know what it is, but I'm having a ball of a time. Ooh. I do want some boats. I would appreciate some boats, that's all I'm saying. Sorry. 13 turns. 5 turns. I feel like we go with a 5. I feel like getting another worker and then Almaty no longer could not care less, gonna be honest, King. I need to like indoctrinate my friends into playing things with me because they just fucking don't. I'm tired of this bullshit. I wanna be able to do things. I don't care how slow the game runs. I'll sit here for 5 minutes as long as I can harass you. That's basically it. I'm lonely. I think I'm here. Dangerous cigarette. I would like to discuss with you. Joint declaration. Hell yeah. Okay. Friendship. Discuss. Joint declaration. I must declare. Bastard. Okay. I'll go over to Orlando. Nobody wants to be my friend other than Ethiopia. I'll never recover from this, actually. I'm not gonna recover. This hurts in my chest. Bastard. Oh my god. You're friends with my friends, so I'll be friends with you now. I guess. We were friends 5 minutes ago. Listen, it does sound none of the leaders have died. That's a conspiracy theory right there. That's... It's just a theory. A conspiracy theory. That should be a channel. That should be the fourth channel. Game theory, food theory, film theory, conspiracy theory. There we go. That should be somebody's channel. Oh, but you wouldn't be able to use the line because it would be like, oh, you're stealing that. I mean, yeah, so what? We rip off somebody else.
One turn until a new citizen is born. Yeah!
We just forced somebody to give birth. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I believe you. Jump in the line. Drag your body on time. No, what you're gonna do? You're gonna fucking. You're gonna build some.
Wäre in eurem Interesse, dass ihr dieses Angebot sorgfältig
Oh
prüft.
my god. Oh my god, you're friends with my friend. Now I want to be friends.
That's what this bitch has just pulled. Just like, sorry, you're not cool enough for me. I don't want to be your friend. And then they notice that I'm chatting up one of their friends, and they're like, oh my god, I didn't know you. I didn't. Wait, you wanted to be friends earlier. Why don't we be friends like now? Right? That's what this bitch has just done. I mean, sure, I'll take it. I'll take it. Right? Doesn't mean I'm happy about it. Doesn't mean I'm delighted. Bastard. Temple of Artemis, sure. Sure, why not?
Stonehenge has been built in a faraway land.
That basically means that we haven't met the person yet. Costs 1 gold per turn? Oh, we don't have the income for that. Hey, ta bra där. Ta bra när mak nilin arrogant agam. Tom Onbocht. Onbocht. Onbocht is on Chanis. Did I hear? I'm 70% sure I know what Chanis means. Pretty sure it means disease. I think. I'm also probably not saying it right, let's be honest here. Though, to be fair, there are like 70,000 dialects. There isn't really a saying it right. Folklore.
Folklore, my beloved. How are you doing?
Why can't we? Okay, sure. Folklore. I mean, oh, gold is a problem. Yeah, we can get that. Sure, we can get that. Disease. Folklore. Tell me, folklore. Galar. Oh, illness in general. Ah, sure. General, condition, problem. Yeah, Galar. Wait, what does Canis mean? Money, 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 money must be funny in a rich man's world. All the things I could do if I had a little money. Optics, sure, we'll make some optics. Why not? Mm, we're basically just passing the time now. That's basically what we're doing. Not gonna lie. We'll translate, sure. Munich! Ah! Sprung up out of thin fucking air. Much dangerous and good. Open Google Translate. Jesus Christ. I I don't know what we're doing. Uh,
Need an instrument to know if the moon shineth full or no.
finish? Back credit. Sure. Uh, Helga. Tension. Huh. Okay. Okay. Ballon Janistrach. Okay. Bark mode. Do whatever, mate. You, however, I would like you. Bark.
Yes.
Yes, oh, my little watery child.
What the fuck? No! The Temple of Artemis! Ah! Golden Age has ended, blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Ah, fuck, it's only the really fucking close ones. It's can't go into the deep ocean. You can't touch the deep ocean now, can you? Most progressive people, fuck off. I don't. What? City of wants copper, blah 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 blah. Lots of people want lots of things. You can't get it sometimes. Sometimes you just can't. No. Sometimes it's just an impossibility. I set you to just meander, explore, automate. Yeah! Yeah! We get to just watch, baby! We get to watch and that's it! That's fucking it! I want an amphitheater. I also want. Fuck. Maintenance, no. Maintenance, no. We need something that makes us money. Happiness. I don't care about happiness, alright? I want money.
Ooh,
That's like some. I wasn't. Paranormal want to eliminate has been destroyed. Could not care less. Now we just get to sit here and watch it go. Is this not why people play things?
A horse. My kingdom for a horse.
I wouldn't give my kingdom up for it. Actually, it depends entirely on the horse. If it's like a really chill horse, then I might consider it. I may just, you know, I may just. Uh, we just gotta go back and forth. We just gotta keep on chugging. I get to drink my coffee. Oh my god, Pasargadae has grown. Pasargadae, my beloved.
I never thought that it would come to this, Pasargadae.
Hansel's quest? Okay. Good for you, King. Um... We'll make another market, sure. We'll make another. Doesn't matter. Zurich requests a road between your capital and theirs. Oh, Zurich. I didn't know you enjoyed me. Sure, I can do that.
I would not in the slightest.
Where did my other building? What the fuck are you okay. How are we gonna, I guess. Shadow this be 2 more turns. Sure. Then yeah. We'll just keep on religion enhanced. Oh, Ethiopia has enhanced their religion.
Instrumental or mechanical.
Good to know. Good to know. We'll go civil service, sure. Where the fuck did my builders go? It just disappeared. Where are you going? Just off into the depths. Wait. Get back on land, you wee bastard. We're about to go into debt building this fucking road. Build another worker, sure. Adopt policy. Uh. Money, money, money. Reach enemy and killed. Policy. Deity increases faith. Honor, blood. Sure. Sure, why not? Pyramids have been built. Okay, good to know.
Good to know that the pyramids have been constructed elsewhere. Good to know. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Here's the really fucking boring part, you know? It's like, God. Oh, wait. I would like. No! Stop it! Stop it, you bastards! Ah. Oh my gosh, the statue's been completed elsewhere. Um. Oh no, that's the cows. No, not the cows. Over there. Can move down one. Production. Um. 11 turns, sure. Unit needs orders. Just, do what you want. Do what you want, King. Angels and I felt again and remember that I was my friend. Lay your mind, my chest. Jack is a threat to the stability of the world. The time has come to deal with them once and for all. Will you assist me in this effort? Sorry, we have no interest. I don't want to beat the shit. You've seen my shit military. Let's be honest here. What the fuck am I gonna do? You can actually stunt. You're all gonna start building roads, you know? Just gonna make all y'all start building roads. That's it. God. I'm really putting them to work. Gonna start treating them as if they're Irish next. Ah. Your city becomes religious. Oh my gosh. My city, religious.
Good. Uh. Uh.
The only thing.
Okay. Okay.
That building, bitch.
Uh. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Boss feature.
Could not care less. Hi, oh.
Es wäre in eurem Interesse,
Oh, we're doing pretty well.
Angebot sorgfältig prüft.
How are you? Sure.
In Ordnung.
How are you doing? Another little Hexagon World game? Yeah, it's Civ 5. Um,
Just doing tiny little things stuff.
Almaty and Germany are no longer allies. Oh my gosh. Oh my golly gosh. What are they doing if they're not allies? Probably trying to murder each other. Amity's tiny. That is, they are. No, they're not right beside each other. I cannot watch for long because I have huge maths test tomorrow. Oh, I have so much homework to do. It's fine though. It's okay. This is fine. Surprised now that I have a little picture. Very impressed. You've been here like once since you got the little picture. Also to be like, yes, I know this person. That's basically what it is. It's not really VIP. It's just I'm aware you maybe go do that. Just a suggestion. It's fine. I still have like multiple hours. I don't need sleep. it's it's a suggestion, not a requirement. Actually, I genuinely haven't done my maths homework in like a week and a half. It's impressive how little of it I've done. I don't have to do construction tomorrow. Hell yeah.
Oh, fucking yeah.
It'll be great. He wasn't in today anyway. To be fair, he was in, he was just also at a match.
But yeah, we're making little roads. Little roads. Look at the little roads.
I met players entered the medieval era. But every message and it's like, whoa, big squares. Woo! Woo! Big square. Yeah, fair enough though. Fair enough. I say that like I sleep much ever. Haha. It's not a suggestion. Basic. The art of war? Yeah. I say that it's more of a light suggestion than anything really. The aqueducts, sure.
Hell yeah.
The art of war. Except we're Persia. Are we Persia? I think we're Persia. Probably. It's like a 50-50 chance that we're Persia or we're not Persia. It's one or the other.
There is only one.
Make a fucking mood, man. Theology? Sure. Sure, King. We'll do theology. I want a fake theocracy. Just because I want to know how it would pan out. I want to know what would happen if you mixed religion and state. You know? Like, how would that funny little thing end? How would that go? What would happen?
Construct the road. Yes.
Yes, do it. Do it, bitch.
Oh, has Petra. Okay, good for the Ethiopian. Good for the yeah, I'm gonna have to do maths. Bye bye. I'll end at some point. Probably switching their little emojis.
You are not doing anything.
Ah! Ah! How dare you?
Yes, Pepe, enjoy your maths. Enjoy your mathematics. I do hope it goes well.
Has adopted a new religion. How fucking dare you? How How dare you? We'll make a circus, sure. Completed terracotta army, fun! Don't give a shit. Could not care less, actually. Couldn't give less of a shit. Oh, look at that, you're done. You're done then. You're done. But not you're done. You're done. You've completed it. Here you go. Magic. Angels. Sleep. Blah 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 blah. You can just do whatever, I guess. Need this person to move.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
There we go. Choose production. That was. I don't think that was 3 turns. I'll make an oracle. We'll make a lighthouse.
Oracle and lighthouse.
What is this monstrosity of a road? What is this bullshit? It's fine.
Germany has taken back its guarantee of protecting Panama City. Oh my gosh.
You can also just do whatever, King. Could not give us a wish. Next turn.
Cyprus. A march of time can ever forward.
Fuck off, theology. Compass! Hell yeah! I want a compass. I really want a compass. I don't actually really want a compass. I couldn't care less about compasses. I got really confused once by a compass when I was like 8. I've never used one, so I don't know. They just don't sit right with me, you know? Ethiopia, why are you not my friend anymore? Zurich searches for science. Okay. Okay. I think on that note, I'm gonna end today there. Give me a second. Thank you for being here for however long you've been here. As I said, like, 3 ago, I have quite a bit of homework to do. And I have just other life stuff to be doing. But yeah, thank you for being here, whether you've been 5 minutes, 50 minutes, or, 2 hours, 30 minutes. It really does mean a whole lot to me. I do this Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 7 p.m. GMT. I don't know what I'll be doing on Thursday, but it sure will be something at 7 UK time. In case you are also quite shit at. In case you are also quite bad at time zones. I am very bad at time zones. They don't go well. Please try to get to sleep. Only if you do too, Rose. Haha. Take that. But yeah, thank you for being here for however long you've been here. If you talked, if you haven't, whether you've been here before, or you'll never be here again. I do appreciate it. I hope to see you next time. Have a lovely rest of your day, however long that may be. And bye bye. Bye 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 bye.